You are not breathing, but you must appear radiant. Your skin has already gone cold. Your fingers have stiffened beneath the lace. But still, they powder your cheeks, rouge your lips, and lace your corset tight. Outside, the bells toll. For your wedding, you were meant to marry a prince, to seal an alliance, to bring peace between two fractured thrones. Instead, you lie still in a candlelit chamber, your lifeless body made beautiful one final time. In this palace, ceremony matters more than breath. So they will crown you, dress you, marry you. And no one will speak of the truth, that the bride died before the vows, because to admit it would mean the illusion has failed. And the illusion is all they ever had. You are 12 the day the letter arrives. It is carried not by messenger but by a carriage of white horses, draped in blue and gold. Your mother drops the embroidery from her lap. Your father stands frozen beside the hearth. The seal is unbroken, but everyone already knows what it says. You've been chosen, not for your mind, your voice, or your prayers, but for your blood. The king has selected you to marry his only surviving son. A union of houses, they say a gift to God, but you are not asked. You are bathed, your best gown is pressed. You are placed in front of a painter who instructs you to sit still, back straight, mouth soft, eyes sweet. The portrait will go to court ahead of you, to be studied like livestock. You sit there as the sun moves across the floor, and no one tells you what it means to be royal, only that it is holy, that it is forever, that you must be grateful. When the carriage comes to take you, your mother weeps, but not from sorrow. She cries for pride, for survival, for the honor your name will carry now. You are kissed, prayed over, and sent away like a sacrificial offering dressed in lace. The journey is long, days blur into nights. Your body aches from the stiffness of posture, from the cold that creeps into your slippers. You are told not to speak to the guards, not to touch the windows, not to disarrange your hair. A royal bride, they remind you, must arrive untouched by the wind. When you reach the palace, it does not shimmer like the stories. It looms, tall, gray, stone, silent. The air smells of smoke and lavender. The servants bow but do not smile. You are taken inside, through marble corridors and velvet curtains, until you are swallowed whole. No one asks if you are tired. No one says your name. You are led to a room with no fire and told to rest. You lie awake, wrapped in linen, wondering what kind of girl is too valuable to be seen as a child.
The next morning, you are awakened before dawn. 3 maids enter, silent, practiced, precise. They undress you in cold air and do not look away. Your nightgown is folded and taken. Your skin is inspected, oiled, perfumed. Rose at the wrists. Neroli at the throat. Your hair is brushed until your scalp stings. When you flinch, they pause. Then continue. You are not spoken to, only turned, dressed, positioned. You begin to understand that your body is no longer yours. It is being prepared. As they lace the corset tighter, you wonder if your breath will ever belong to you again. At breakfast, you meet the queen. She does not eat. She watches. Her face is powdered pale, her lips thin, her voice low. She studies you like a vase, fragile, decorative, replaceable. "So young," she murmurs, not to you but to the room. Then she offers a gift, a small crystal vial. Inside, a clear perfume the color of moonlight. "The royal scent," she says. "You will wear it every day." You thank her. You do not ask what it's made of. Later, in your chamber, you unstop the bottle. It smells like violets and something colder, sharper. Like the space between prayers. You dab it on. It stings. They begin the lessons immediately, not in reading or scripture, but in posture, gesture, silence. A governess shows you how to curtsy, not deeply, just enough. You are taught to smile with your eyes but not your teeth, to speak only when asked, to step lightly, as if you weigh nothing. A bride is not a girl. she says. She is a mirror. She reflects what the court wants to see. You nod, even as the ache behind your eyes grows. That night, as you lie in your new bed, the scent clings to your throat like a second skin. You miss the smell of your mother's bread, your father's ink-stained hands. Here, everything is lavender and lead. And as you drift into restless sleep, one thought presses against your ribs like a fist. You were not chosen to live. You were chosen to become. The days begin to bleed into each other. Morning becomes ritual. Your body is washed in milk, wrapped in linen, perfumed and powdered until you cannot recognize your own scent. You learn that the palace smells different depending on the hour. Jasmine and ink in the mornings, rose oil and musk by noon, fading into candle wax and bitter wine as evening falls. But underneath it all is something older. The stale rot of silence. The stillness of women waiting. Your instructors arrive daily, each carrying a different burden to place on your shoulders. One teaches you court history, but only the parts that matter. The alliances, the dowries, the scandals covered in perfume. Another guides you in conversation, instructing you to speak in half-thoughts, to never challenge, to never fully appear. A royal bride is a shadow, she tells you, present but never overpowering. You repeat her words until they feel like your own. You begin to meet the other women, older, decorated, dangerous. They smile too widely, their perfume thick with venom. One duchess touches your hair and whispers, "Enjoy your bloom, dear. It fades faster than you think." Another tucks a note into your glove. A prayer or a threat, you can't be sure. You learn to laugh carefully, to flatter without lying, to be watchful without seeming watchful. The game is not survival, it is invisibility. And then one evening, the prince arrives. You are summoned to the music room. The candles are low, the air is heavy. He does not speak much. He studies you like a painter measuring canvas. He does not ask your thoughts, only your age, your family's holdings, your ability to bear heirs. He smells like sandalwood and wine. You want to ask if he is kind, but you are not allowed to want. You are allowed to hope. Quietly, alone. When he leaves, the governess appears. He approves, she says. Approves. You return to your room and sit by the window until the candles burn low. Outside, the wind moves through the trees like a whisper of the life you are leaving behind. You are not a girl anymore. You are a promise dressed in silk, and you are not yours.
Your wedding never comes, not fully. There is no white gown, no vows exchanged beneath the bells. Instead, there is a signature on parchment, a courier dispatched at dawn, and a silence that settles into your bones like frost. They say the war has worsened. The prince is needed at the front. And so your union is made official in absence, your body promised, your title granted, but your life suspended. You are now a royal bride without a wedding, a wife without a touch, a queen without a crown. And still, they dress you. The chambers change. No longer the polished innocence of before. Now, everything gleams darker, gilded mirrors, crimson drapery. Silver trays heavy with oils that sting your wrists and stain your nightclothes. Each morning begins with the scent, myrrh to calm your nerves, sandalwood to sharpen your presence, white lead to keep your skin untouched by sun or sorrow. You smell like a saint's tomb, like preservation, but not life. You write to him once. A short letter, careful, dutiful, sweet. You ask about the weather at the front. You mention the roses blooming in the south garden. You do not mention the ache, the waiting, the silence that spreads like damp through the palace walls. He does not reply. The court has begun to call you, Her Grace, though you have never sat beside him. They expect you to move as if he is watching, speak as if he is listening. You are a figure now, painted, perfumed, placed. You dine in silence. You are escorted by guards. Your rooms are checked each night, not for danger, but for dust and disobedience. A portrait is commissioned. The artist tells you to tilt your chin regally. You hold your breath and try to appear full of joy. Later, you see the finished painting. You do not recognize yourself. You look like someone already fading. And still, they call you lucky. The weeks stretch into months, and still no word from your husband. Not even a seal, not even a whisper. At court, they say nothing. They offer smiles dipped in honey and poison, reminding you how noble you are to endure so gracefully. He will return soon, they assure you, adjusting the pearl clasp at your throat. But their eyes flicker elsewhere when you speak, as if your voice has become an echo in a hall no one enters. You begin to understand your role more clearly now. Not a wife, not a woman, a placeholder, a symbol, a breathing relic of a union that exists more on paper than in time. In the garden, the roses begin to wilt despite the season. Their scent grows thick, metallic. You wander among them at dusk, hoping the air might strip away the cloying veil that follows you indoors, the pressed oils, the powdered amber, the rose-tinted arsenic, but the perfume is in your pores now. Even when you sweat, it rises. Even when you cry, it clings. You begin to wonder if your body will ever smell like itself again, if it even remembers how. One evening, the governess brings a new vial. From the prince's physicians, she says softly. A blend to ease waiting hearts. The glass is tinted green. Inside, something thick and golden sloshes like a slow-moving sickness. You ask no questions. You swallow the prescribed drop, as instructed. It tastes of violets and vinegar. Your lips go numb. The days after blur. You sleep longer, deeper, but the dreams turn strange. You see yourself walking through corridors with no doors. You smell fire but cannot see flames. You wake with bruises on your thighs and no memory of falling. The doctors say it's nerves. They prescribe more drops. The body must adjust to its new life. They explain, always gently, always smiling. But you know what's happening. The perfume is no longer a layer. It's becoming you. Every drop is an erasure. Every scent, a sentence. And your name, once whispered like a future, is now just something they use to address your shadow. It is early morning when the news arrives. A hushed voice at your door, a folded note trembling in a hand that won't meet your gaze. Your betrothed, your husband in title, though never in presence, is dead. A hunting accident, they say. A misfire, swift and clean, but nothing about it feels accidental. You are not summoned to mourn, nor to weep in public. There is no procession, no public veil of black. You are instructed to remain within your chambers. It is unbecoming, the Lady Chancellor says delicately, for a bride to be seen grieving a man she never touched. Still, they dress you in gray silk. Not full mourning, just a nod to propriety. The perfume changes again, this time, to a blend of bergamot and ashwood, meant to suggest modest sorrow. It burns behind your ears. No one speaks of the wedding. No one offers condolences. The palace continues as if nothing has happened. Balls resume. Music plays. Another cousin is betrothed in your place before the month ends. Your portrait, commissioned weeks earlier for the marriage hall, remains unfinished. In the artist's studio, a blurred outline of a bride who never stood at the altar. You visit it once, unannounced. The painter startles, wipes his hands. He's painted you in white, with lilac, though you never wore them. You looked holy that day, he murmurs. You don't remember ever looking holy. You remember the heat, the powder, the sickly sweetness of clove oil behind your knees. You remember trying not to faint. After that, you stop speaking unless spoken to. Your meals grow smaller. You sit by the window, watching the gardens rot into autumn. Every time the wind shifts, the perfume rises from your skin, the scent of a bride who was never touched, a widow who was never kissed. And yet the air around you is filled with the illusion of fulfillment. The palace still calls you the princess consort. The records will still list the marriage as complete. History will not mention the absence. It will not note that you were crowned in silence, or that the throne beside you was always empty, because to the world, a scented corpse is still a wife. You awaken to a heaviness that no sleep ever cures. Your skin, once soft with youth, now itches beneath every layer of silk. You scratch in secret, behind curtains, under gloves, until you draw raw lines across your ribs, but the burning never stops. The doctors call it nerves, prescribe rose water compresses and laudanum drops. But you know better. The scent has turned against you. What once made you admired now makes you sick. Every breath is a ritual of slow rot. And yet, each morning, you sit like clockwork while the maid dabs the familiar poisons across your throat. Jasmine, civet, white lead. You nod without complaint. Because to stop would be madness. The body is beginning to tell the truth your lips never could. Your gums bleed quietly in the morning basin. Your hairline has receded beneath the powder. Your breath shortens when the chambers are sealed for an audience. No one notices, or rather, they do and choose not to see. They say you look pale, fragile, ethereal. They call it grace. The other women are disappearing too. The Duchess with the powdery laugh hasn't left her rooms in weeks. A girl from the kitchens was found slumped over a tray of violets, her fingertips blue. Rumors swirl like smoke but never land. An infection, they say. A weak constitution, but behind closed doors, even the midwives whisper now. It's the perfumes, the tonics, the tinctures that bleach the body into something divine, and hollow it in return. Still, you smile at court. You glide through halls with lavender at your wrists, rose at your collar, until the scent becomes armor again. Fragrant, poisonous armor. At night, you dream of breathing without wincing, of rinsing your skin with nothing but water, of lying beside someone who smells like soy and sweat, not civet and deceit. But the palace has no air for that kind of dream, only sealed windows and scented shadows. And so, each morning, you rise again, crowned, composed, decaying slowly beneath the perfume that still declares you perfect. You begin to study the faces around you differently now. Not for charm or malice, but for signs. A blister behind the ear. A shadow under the lip where rouge no longer sticks. The court is filled with women unraveling in slow, scented silence. Yet none dare speak it aloud. They cover their coughs with gloves. They perfume their handkerchiefs to mask the blood. Decay is now elegance, so long as it smells like bergamot. The Queen Mother orders a new perfume blend, stronger, richer. She says the younger nobles must be reminded of her presence, even in absence. Her perfumer complies. You watch as he grinds the ingredients. Crushed petals, whale musk, powdered mercury, his hand steady, his expression hollow. When he hands her the vial, she smiles. You do not. You wonder what part of her it will claim next, her sight, her balance, her mind. But she wears it like armor. Just like you do in your private hours, you test rebellion in small, invisible doses. You stop applying the scent behind one ear. You skip the musk at the base of your spine. For a few days, you feel lighter, almost lucid. But then the rumors begin that you've lost your glow, that your scent has faded, that your favor is slipping. A nobleman passes you in the corridor and doesn't pause. A maid forgets to curtsy. You are vanishing, not from life, but from importance. The realization is brutal. Your identity has never belonged to you. It was always in the bottle, in the aura, in the illusion. And the more it poisons you, the more you need it to stay seen, to stay chosen, to stay alive within the palace machine. You dab the perfume again. Just a little, just enough to be remembered. Because what is pain, if no one can smell it? The Queen's voice has started to tremble. You notice it when she reads letters, when she dismisses servants, when she speaks to God. The perfume she wears is heavier now, thicker than before, like syrup warming the air. You recognize its scent. Instantly, the same blend your aunt wore the year before she died. A blend that once made her unforgettable, and unbreathable, the days blur. You dress in the same silks, layer the same oils, whisper the same pleasantries, but something inside you is slipping. You forget simple words, you stand too long before mirrors, not recognizing the eyes that stare back. The court physician prescribes rosehip tonic and more rest, though your body does not want sleep. It wants air, it wants to scream. You try again to resist. One evening, you pour the perfume into the basin and watch it swirl down the drain, amber and oil and death, spiraling into darkness. The next morning, your absence is noted. Not your voice, not your presence, but the missing scent. You smell plain, the Queen Mother remarks, her smile unreadable. A whisper of disapproval that echoes louder than any scream. So you make a choice. You return to the vial. You apply it not out of vanity, but necessity. The perfume is no longer a luxury. It is a lifeline, a passport to remain visible in a palace that erases the unscented. That night, the Queen's maid is found unconscious beside the fireplace, her hands still stained with rouge. They say she choked on incense, but you remember the perfume she'd begun to borrow, the Queen's blend, the one with mercury. As they carry her away, something inside you closes. Not in defeat, but in preparation. Because now you know, if the perfume must kill you, it will do so gently, silently, lovingly, and when it does, you will smell perfect. They say the Queen died of weak lungs, of nerves, of sorrow. But you know the truth lingers not in her body, but in the ritual one no one dares question. Perfume, every woman in that palace wears it like a second soul. And now, so do you. The day after her death, her rooms are aired, the windows thrown open to release the rot, but the scent lingers, clings to tapestries, bleeds from the wood. The perfumers grow quieter in the days that follow, their workshops dim. The younger maids uncork the vials more cautiously now, their hands hesitant, their expressions hollowed by something they cannot name. But the court does not wait for ghosts to pass. Another royal is placed in the chambers, the mirrors are polished, the linen monogrammed anew. You are summoned. Not to mourn but to serve. At first, it seems simple. Her gowns, her jewelry, her favorite chair in the chapel, these are passed down like heirlooms. But the perfume is different. You are handed a flagon without ceremony, but the weight of it is crushing. You've inherited the Queen's scent. Her poison, her silence, one drop behind each ear, one at the base of the throat. The first time you wear it, your vision blurs. A metallic taste seeps into your mouth like rust. Your hands tremble while pouring wine at supper. Still, you say nothing. To speak is to accuse. To accuse is to vanish. Each morning, the ritual repeats. The scent becomes a fog that clings to your skin, to your sheets, to your soul. You begin to feel it inside you, like a pulse. You walk slower, breathe shallower. The other women notice, but they never say what they see. They nod. They smile. They reapply their perfume and carry on. One girl coughs so violently she cannot sing anymore. Another collapses in the garden, her fingers clutching at the lace of her bodice. The doctor murmurs, nerves, you know better. You've learned now, in this place, to smell like royalty is not a privilege, it is a sentence. The gardens outside your chambers have begun to wither, though no one dares say it aloud. Roses wilt while still in bloom. The air carries a sweetness that turns sour at the edges. You walk through the hedges one evening, hoping the wind might clear your lungs, but it doesn't. The scent follows you. Not the gardens, yours. Every footstep seems to stir from your skin. You remember the Queen's final days, how she coughed quietly during Mass, how her lace handkerchiefs were always damp, how the curtains in her bedchamber were never drawn aside. She adored her perfume, they said. But you know now she didn't. She died beneath it, drenched in it, buried with it. One night, an apothecary's apprentice slips you a note beneath your tray. A single pressed violet, clumsily folded. The message, there are things we were not meant to inhale. You burn the paper before anyone sees, but the words, stay. That evening, your curiosity cracks. You take one drop from the queen's old vial, drip it into a copper dish, and hold a candle beneath it. The perfume sizzles, releases a smoke that sears your throat and waters your eyes. It curls into the air like something alive, something angry. The next morning, your tongue feels coated. The tip of your nose bleeds. Still, you continue. You have no choice. Every woman at court is assigned her own signature and invisible title. The Duchess wears narrowly to mask her grief. A girl too young to speak properly wears orange blossom and musk. You've been given bergamot and rose. And white lead. The last is unspoken, but you know its sting. Your skin along the collarbone is peeling. You cough behind gloves. The doctor offers laudanum and rosewater. He never meets your eyes. By now, you understand. Perfume is not adornment. It is expectation. It is armor disguised as elegance. And, what it doesn't kill, it hollows. You watch the women around you so fragrant, so polished, so quietly falling apart. No one questions the scent. Not even as it seeps into the walls like a secret, like a curse. You watch her funeral from behind a silk curtain, barely breathing. The room is heavy with silence, but the scent is louder than any voice. Her body bathed, dressed, and perfumed beyond recognition lies in a coffin glazed with violets and amber. The linen shrouds glisten slightly, soaked in oils so dense the candlelight seems to shimmer off her skin. Even in death, the queen is expected to smell divine. Her coffin moves through the chapel like a relic, and the air becomes unbearable. Courtiers dab their eyes, but their tears are not from grief. They are from the sting. The incense, the perfume, it is too much, too thick. It clings to everything. Stone, velvet, skin. It becomes something permanent, something unbearable. That night, her youngest maid collapses. Her lips are blue, her breathing shallow. They say it's the cold, but you had seen her earlier, near the dressing table, dabbing behind her ears with the queen's last bottle. She had whispered, almost to herself, "I just want to be remembered." And for a moment, you had understood her. To smell like royalty even, just once felt like proof that you belonged. The irony bites deep. Elsewhere in the palace, the perfumers begin again. There is talk of reformulation, of something lighter, more refined. The words are soft. The hands are steady, but the bottles are the same. The ingredients remain unchanged. You wonder if anyone even remembers what wild flowers truly smell like, untamed, unfiltered, blooming without permission. Then they summon you. Not to choose a perfume, but to receive one. A formula has been crafted in your name now. It is called etherea. The vial is delicate, crystalline. The scent upon first breath seems gentle, almost clean. But beneath the top notes, there's something metallic, something sour. You recognize it. The rot disguised as grace. And still, you nod. You accept. Because by now, you understand. Perfume is more than fragrance. It is inheritance. It is obedience. It is the final shape of your silence. You dab it onto your wrists, close your eyes, and inhale deeply, knowing you've just named your own undoing. You are older now, though no one dares mention it aloud. In this palace, mirrors are draped with gauze, and candlelight is the only mercy left to your reflection. Your waist is smaller because your corsets are tighter. Your voice is softer because you've learned silence is safer, but inside, you feel it, the weight of the years, the heaviness in your bones that no perfume can conceal. And yet, each morning, the ritual endures. A maid enters before dawn with a silver tray. She never speaks. You sit wordlessly as she lifts the vial and brushes the scent along your skin. This version is more floral, more refined. But it still pricks the back of your throat, a warning you now know how to ignore. You fight the urge to cough, to scream, to ask the question that haunts you in the quiet. Why am I still doing this? The court no longer gasps when you enter a room. They bow, but out of habit now, not awe. And yet, your presence carries a strange power. Not your name, not your face, but your scent. She always smelled like Lilith, they whisper. Or she passed, and the air changed. They remember the fragrance, not the woman. The thought shakes your hands sometimes. Other times, it feels like control, like you've become a ghost, haunting the very halls that once consumed you. Then one day, you notice her. A girl, young, new. She arrived last winter, eyes wide, voice uncertain. At first, you ignored her, but one morning, as you stepped from your dressing chamber, she lingered, just beyond the doorway, breathing in the air after you had left. You recognized the look, that aching hunger to become someone anyone through scent alone. Hours later, she passed you in the corridor. She wore a version of your perfume. Slightly thinner, slightly cheaper, but unmistakably yours. You said nothing, just met her eyes, and smiled, because you had once been her. And now, she would one day become you, and the cycle, as always, would continue. One evening, a storm breaks over the palace, rain lashing the windows, wind howling like a locked creature. You sit alone in your chamber, surrounded by velvet and silence, while perfume clings to the air like a second skin. You feel it more acutely tonight, the weight of it, the sweetness turned sour. Once, this scent made you feel invincible. Now, it feels like confinement, like a shroud. You rise and walk to the window, something you haven't done in years. The shutters groan. You open them just a crack, and the air, raw, sharp, unscented, slices through the room like truth. For the first time in a lifetime, you breathe, and it stings in a way that makes you remember who you are beneath the fragrance. A memory hits you with sudden clarity. 17 years old, standing half-dressed in your chamber as the perfumer dabs jasmine behind your ear. You flinched, giggled, and sure, still so sensitive, he'd murmured, smiling. You'll grow used to it, but you never did. Not really. You just learned to hide the discomfort, to smile through the sting, and to wear the perfume like it was your skin even as it peeled you away from your own. Your eyes fall on the vanity, a graveyard of bottles, some cracked, others full, all silent witnesses to your transformation, each vial a chapter, each scent a choice or a surrender. There's the amber blend from your coronation, the rose attar from your wedding bed, the clove and sandalwood you wore when the child did not come. And in the back, untouched, still sealed, the vial you were meant to wear for your next ceremony, a blend crafted for legacy, for immortality. But your fingers do not reach for that one. They hover, then shift. You select a small vial, nearly invisible among the others. A new blend, clean, almost scentless. You dab it along your collarbone. You inhale, and something breaks open. Not freedom, not yet, but the possibility of it. You wonder, not for the first time, is this how rebellion begins? Not with fire, but with forgetting the scent they gave you. The days that follow move slowly, like breath through a cracked window. You stop wearing the heavier oils. You cleanse your linens. You let your skin breathe. At first, no one notices. Then, the murmurs begin. Not about your health, but about your presence. How you seem dimmer, duller. How your aura feels faint. They do not say you no longer smell divine, but that's what they mean. You've stripped away the illusion, and now they don't know what to do with the real woman underneath. The courtiers keep their distance, unsure how to read you without the cue of rosewater or musk. The maids whisper. Some say you are mourning. Others say madness, but you walk taller now. Not out of pride, but clarity. The world smells different now, not lovely, but real. You can smell the damp in the palace walls, the mildew in the tapestries, the iron in your own blood. You can smell the rot, the truth. It is not sweet, but it is honest. Then one morning, you collapse. Your heart stutters. Your limbs shake. The doctor is summoned. You hear the terror in his silence before he speaks. Liver, kidneys, nerves. He cannot say the word. But you know, the years of perfume, of mercury, lead, essence, of turpentine, have soaked too deep. The rebellion came too late. That night, you lie in bed surrounded by shadows and bottles, some still full, others long emptied. All the lives you wore, the woman you pretended to be, the one you never became. Outside, wind stirs the drapes, the air smells of nothing, of rain, of stone, of the earth. In your final hours, they come with a cloth soaked in myrrh and clove, to prepare your body. You stop them, your voice, though weak, is clear, no scent, and so they carry you through the palace not with roses trailing, but with silence. The courtiers pause, they sniff the air. They wonder who you were. They cannot place you, because there is no perfume left to remember, only a woman, finally unscented, unmasked, and free. You were never meant to be remembered like this. Not as a name in a ledger, or a fading portrait in a corridor lined with ghosts. Not as a woman whose scent arrived before she did, and whose silence lingered after. You were meant to be powerful, adored, crowned, but they never told you what that crown would cost. They didn't mention that the crown was not placed on your head. It was mixed into your oils, rubbed into your skin, steeped into your breath, and by the time you wore it, it was already dissolving you. They will write your name in history. They will speak of your engagement, your grace, your legacy. But they will not write how it felt to wake each day inside a bottle. How your identity was sprayed on, masked over, disguised as devotion. They will not write about the slow death that smelled like violets. That is the lie of beauty, how it whispers promises, then seals your fate with soft hands and sweet-smelling rot. In the end, it wasn't a sword, a scandal, or war that took you. It was the ritual, the system. The idea that a woman must be beautiful, even if it kills her. And yet, in your final breath, you broke the pattern. Not with rage or fire, but with refusal. You left without a scent, without a veil, and in that naked, airless stillness, you became real. So ask yourself now, what are you wearing today that is quietly erasing you? What mask have you mistaken for identity, and how? Long before beauty begins to bury you. If this story unsettled you, share it. Someone else may need to hear it too. Subscribe for more forgotten truths behind the powdered masks of history. And tell us in the comments, what do you think she would have smelled like if she'd ever been free?